as of yet unnamed podcast. The current title we're running with, right, is WhoView. That's.
I didn't sign off on the name. I'm just here. Don't blame me for this.
It's not our fault. Every single Doctor Who podcast name has been taken. We've got Who Knew, we've got Who's There, we've got names.
The two ones, there's no one else.
Yeah, that one. The Review of Death.
Yes.
There's that.
But Joe, will this last more than 5 episodes? Or
I can guarantee you 9 episodes. That's as far as I can promise.
I wonder why 9.
Well, that brings us on nicely to what this podcast's for. While Doctor Who's on the air, and it may be fleetingly, while Doctor Who is on the air, we're going to bring you reviews of each episode as it comes out. This is just like an introductory episode that you can't skip. It's like an unskippable cutscene. You've got to watch, please. But we're going to be introducing everyone today, so we might as well do quick little introductions, names and whatnot. If you've watched the channel for a while, you'll have seen a bunch of these guys before. But yeah, we'll take it away with Elise. Tell us about yourself.
My name is Elise. You may know me from hit Joe Street videos such as the 2021 Doctor Who memes video. There have been a few since then, but none have reached the cinematic heights that have, apart from when I fell off a chair watching the Empire of Death, Legend of one of the two. Anyway, I paint some Doctor Who things, so it'd be great if you could just like those. So
the paintings are really good. I think you're underselling yourself a little bit.
Yeah,
the paintings
we'll
are
put
very
it on
good.
screen. You can go and check out. It's what is it, Elise artwork or something?
I change the name all the time. So actually, rather than podcast names, could you just suggest me some art Instagram account, please?
Yeah, and you've forgotten your most important esteemed role as Drills.
The Doctor.
Exactly.
Fan series. Drills, Dr. Liz. That's me, if you'll believe it.
Artie, Arthur, the meddling monk. I got many names. I think you said to say when we first watched Doctor Who. Did you?
We'll come to that in a minute.
We'll come to that in a minute. That's me.
It's Artie.
Rosanna, you were next.
I'm Rosanna. I do I don't know. I don't do them anymore. But I used to do Sarah Jane TikTok, and now apparently I do Lady Gaga TikTok. So
have you been locked out of your Doctor Who account?
Yeah, I've been locked out of my Doctor Who account for about a year now. Whoop whoop. So that's me, and I'm a qualified Sarah Jane obsessed person.
Qualified.
You got a doctorate in Sarah Jane.
The esteemed Elizabeth Den book, which has made many a cameo in these videos. Because you cannot see that it says Sladen. It just says Elizabeth Den.
So I get so many comments being like, "What's the Elizabeth Den joke?" I'm like, you have to be there.
Yeah, you just have to be there. And we'll introduce the infamous, like in a pantomime when they all boo.
He's behind you. Hello. It's me. I'm back. Hi. I do YouTube as well. Theories. You may have seen it. You may not have. And if you haven't, what are you doing? But I'm here, and I'm here to talk some Doctor Who stuff, as always. So
it's a much more humble introduction than the take one of this.
There was never a take one.
You're rewriting behind you, though. This is David.
Yeah. We're joined by David Tennant. So
we never did this before. This is the first time recording, Joe. This was spontaneous.
Exactly, spontaneous. But
you are, Harry.
Yeah. So the last time we filmed this, right? Harry just goes, "I don't need to introduce myself."
You're making it sound worse than it was.
No, that's exactly how it happened.
Now.
I just knew that I'd been on this channel before, so I didn't. It was like. I felt like Harriet Jones introducing myself.
What about the viewers, Darius?
That's true.
Got the new viewers.
That's a good point.
Yeah, to be fair, I guarantee. Actually, we'll do a little experiment. Anyone in the comments who doesn't know who Tharies of Tharies Ramp fame is, please comment who's Tharies.
Please, even if you do know him, just comment.
Anyway, my mum's going to be in the comments. Like, I don't know who that is.
We went to Cardiff and someone knew
No, we're not opening with this. I'm gonna drop out. I'm gonna leave.
No, that was the peak of my life. Was that moment?
for context, the first time we went to Cardiff together, down the Cardiff Bay, it was summertime, so they had like the fun fair out, and it was the very first time I thought I got recognised. It was a girl and her mum came up to me and said, "Oh, my daughter watches your Doctor Who stuff," and I went, "Sweet." And then the kid went, without skipping a beat, "Not you, that one." And pointed to Joe, and then I had to be like, "Joe, someone wants you."
That was the peak moment of my life. I don't think it'll ever get better than in that moment. But as Artie alluded to earlier, right, this is our little introduction episode. Normally, these episodes are going to be discussing the episode of Doctor Who that we've just seen, and we will be discussing season 2 later in this video. But first up, let's just go through everyone in the same order we just did. Tell us your introduction to Doctor Who. Like, what was the first thing? Was it an episode? Was it just what's your first memories, first introduction? How did you end up becoming as sad and obsessive about this show as you all are?
Are you gonna do a little...
That's a good point. I'm technically first in that roundup. So, my earliest memory of Doctor Who, actually, is just a Dalek keyring, which I think was from like the 90s or something. My dad used to have like a little Dalek on a keyring. I then remember getting a load of the toys. Like, I loved the toys before I actually loved the show. Like, all the action figures, as you can probably tell, they were like, they were cool. But the first proper episode I remember watching was Partners in Crime. Hence why the name of this channel is The Confused Adipose, because I have such a clear memory of my cousin sat on the sofa as the adipose, as you can see on screen, as the adipose appeared, she was just sat there going, "This is so unrealistic. This is absolutely rubbish." And I just remember being like, "Oh, this is quite fun. This is quite cool." But I didn't fully get into it till like the Matt Smith sort of era. Like around series 7 was when I properly became a fan. Which I think is the latest out of all of us here, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah.
No, I think I was technically slightly after you, but
but you were like an actual fan. I just remember watching part of it. I wasn't properly a fan until I'd argue Matt Smith.
Fair.
Yeah, but you would have been about like 7. That's too late.
It's too late. Doesn't
You're
count.
not a real fan, Joe.
Yeah,
all of this is just lies.
It's all a
this
lie.
whole channel is just got all deception and lies.
Someone take the channel away from me. But enough about that. We'll go straight to Elise. What got you into Doctor Who?
I've always been a Doctor Who fan, basically since I popped out of the womb. My dad sat me on the sofa and went, "Here's this little thing called An Unearthly Child." But my first proper memories of it, because I have a few early memories of it, and one of them comes earlier in the show, but I don't know if I'd watched it like on iPlayer or something like that. But I have a really strong memory of seeing in a school reunion when Sarah Jane walks in and sees the TARDIS, which I think is such a cool first memory. But I also have quite a strong memory of Gridlock and Martha in like leaning over onto I don't know, it's just that image that sticks in my mind. And I've just got those kind of fleeting memories. I remember my dad telling me that when David Tennant regenerated, me and my sister were sat there unconsolable, like sobbing, saying we're never going to watch it again. Why would they do such a horrible thing? And he had to like prise us off the sofa. I got banned from watching Doctor Who for a while by my mum because I was so scared at Amy's Choice. For some reason, for child me, that was the scary.
Of all the episodes,
I know it was
a banger episode.
No,
it is.
With it coming out of their mouths, and I was so scared of it. And I went to bed, and I was like, "But they're gonna come and get me." And my mum was like, "They're not. It's a TV show." And I was like, "No, they are." And she was like, "Okay, well, it's fine. I've locked the door." And I was like, "But in the episode, they locked the door, and then they climbed up and went through the windows." So she went, "Okay," and she left the room. And she turned to my dad and she said she's never watching that show again. And look where that's got me. Still here watching.
All these. What are people's, on that note? Because I always find people usually have like that one thing from Doctor Who that terrified them. Like, what are people's one thing, because I have never actually, probably because I watched it when I was slightly older, New Who has never left me genuinely scared, whereas some of classic Who,
Aren't you
I
strong?
remember. Oh, yeah, I'm really cool.
Alright.
But no, classic Who used to terrify me. Like, if I was going to say one, I'd either go with the Watcher or the giant rat in the Tom Baker. What episode is it? Where
that
just the
Talons?
giant rat?
Is that Talons?
Yeah, Talons
Yeah,
of Wang
Talons,
Chiang.
yeah.
I'm going to get cancelled now.
I think that terrified me.
For different reasons. Didn't even think of that. Yeah.
But what else? What are other people's Doctor Who
Mine was
terrifying
42.
things?
Mine was 42. I used to.
Why?
My parents used to get so annoyed because I'd like wake up in the middle of the night being like, the house is burning down, and the man said, burn with me. I used to get such bad nightmares because 42 came out either I watched it around the same time as the Tracy Beaker episode where they burn down, where this guy leaves a cigarette in the attic.
God, I remember that.
So, and that terrified me. I was so paranoid about like my house burning down, and my nightmares always ended with him stood over me going, burn with me.
It is a terrible episode to get sleep
I
paralysis.
thought you were honestly just going to say like it bored me so bad it terrified me away or something. That's what I was expecting. It wasn't actually Doctor Who for me that was the first thing that scared me. It was Sarah Jane, incidentally enough. The Day of the Clown. That just they made it for children. How is it not going to scare you, basically? But
It's also Bradley Walsh.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I didn't know who Bradley Walsh was then. The thing is, I didn't know who Bradley Walsh was then. But now I just see Bradley Walsh, so it's fine. But back then, I couldn't look at it. Whenever Sarah Jane Adventures would come on TV, because my family, unlike many of the people here, didn't watch Doctor Who. So on Saturday nights when Doctor Who was on, the talent shows were off and on. I think that's where my hatred for Simon Cowell began. I just began to despise the man. But instead, obviously, in the daytime, Sarah Jane Adventures was on CBBC. So that was kind of my substitute while I waited.
I love that you're fine with the clown now because it's Bradley Walsh. But if it wasn't Bradley Walsh...
Yeah. No, it's terrifying me. But like, no. Yeah, but like, obviously, whenever Sarah Jane Adventures was on CBBC, I was like, I gotta watch it. Except there was always a slight fear that they'd play that episode again.
Yeah, and what about yourself, Rosanna? Where would you say Doctor Who or maybe Sarah Jane?
I have so many. I think Window Shop Dummies, that's always kind of stuck in the back of my mind. Lot of things. Weeping Angel. I mean, I'm really basic when it comes to scary Doctor Who. Oh my god, school reunion, because I used to go I used to be really terrified of pterodactyls, and like I just don't like flying things. Like I don't like seagulls. So
that's fair.
I used to be like, oh my god, they're pterodactyls, but they're not pterodactyls. They're Krillitane.
Yeah.
Big bat people. But they used to terrify me, and I'm trying to think of another one that like loads of things. The Amy's why she becomes a doll. Whoever decided that, no. And I think when I was like 13, it was like heaven sent. Like I remember I was really scared of my dressing gown because it looked like the monster. But that's a bit late.
Yeah, that's secondary school.
Getting on a bit there.
So I get terrified easily, but now I like horror. So
Night Terrors, though, that's one that whenever I talk to people that watch Doctor Who but aren't really big Doctor Who fans, they always bring that one up as one of the scariest. They always say
underrated, I think.
I've never really got the scare. I mean, it's not very nice, but
but she turns into a wooden doll. That's weird. That's
But I'm not distracted by how bad the episode is.
No, because I really enjoyed that episode.
Yeah, no, I think it's underrated. A little bit of a gem.
I love Thary's just constant Matt Smith era propaganda. Just every time it comes up.
He got me at the age. He got me at age, man. Matt Smith.
No, I mean, I found Matt Smith because he was technically my first proper Doctor. I'm doing this big video, I won't spoil it, where I'm ranking all of the Doctors. And I was shocked at how far down Matt Smith is. I feel like I was betraying my childhood, but I was like, when you weigh it up, his era just doesn't hold up as well as a lot of other Doctor's eras, which just saddens me.
I'm going to start
At the
throwing
same time, though,
tomatoes
you
at you.
did join in Series 7. So, like, Matt
Yeah,
Smith generation, like,
You
that's the
You
first
weren't there when
exciting.
it was at its peak. You don't understand.
You don't remember? Do you not remember like Boxing Day where David Tennant regenerated and all the children just die on the inside? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't remember it, but I've been told the story.
Do you not remember? Because I
Right.
remember.
Sofa while I sobbed and put
Yeah.
going, you can rewatch the old David Tennant ones, it's fine.
I just remember my brother being like, "I like this new guy. He looks funny."
I had a massive argument with my brother because I was like, I quite like Matt Smith. He's funny. And my brother was like, the show's over. I'm never watching it again. The Doctor is dead.
I do actually have a memory of your brother, Artie, right? It would have been just before the Matt Smith era happened. Our primary school had this, I don't know if you remember, like the massive extension. And there was like this red ribbon cutting thing. And I have no idea why, but it's stuck in my head all these years. Your brother had the new like Doctor Who annual with like Matt Smith on the front. And I remember him like, I didn't even watch the show properly, but he was just going around like, yeah, this is rubbish. Like, look at it. It's just, it's silly and blah, blah, blah.
He hated the regeneration. He was just like David Tennant forever.
It's Russell's fault though. Like Russell wrote that episode to just make you want no other Doctor ever. Like the whole like, it feels like dying. It's like how was Moffat? So if I was Moffat and I read that script, I'd be like, you are handing me an impossible challenge.
I think in a way though, that's why I give Matt Smith a bit more credit because of like how big the stakes were for that transition. Like the nation was in love with that Doctor in a way that they very rarely are for others and still are to this day. So I think the very fact that Smith did as well as he did is probably a testament to him, if nothing else. Again, the Matt Smith propaganda is coming out. But I do think that does.
I will give you that.
Because like loads of people I know love Matt Smith. I feel like it's between David Tennant and Matt Smith, whereas I feel like people a bit older than us are like Christopher Eccleston. I do think maybe my brother's age, because he's 19, they are very much like Matt Smith.
Yeah, I was going to say your brother, when we were at your birthday party, your brother came up to me and was like, quick check, who's the best Doctor? And I was like, Capaldi. And he was just like, no. And he got proper serious. He was like,
your ranking video.
Oh, yeah, no, it might not be Capaldi. It could be any of them.
I heard on the grapevine his favourite is Ruth.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised to be fair.
She's quite high up in the list.
Wow.
I'm spoiling the whole thing. I've included, I'll spoil it now, but it's the best piece of promotion ever. We get to number 2 and I'm like, and the number 2 Doctor, and then I just go on a 5-minute tangent about the Echo Doctor and then the Doctors of Echo's End. The best plug in history. So stay tuned for that.
Shout out to Elise.
Right, so we've gone through our introductions.
I didn't go through an introduction.
Yeah, I didn't get my childhood episode.
Yeah, I didn't get my
Okay, no, never mind. We haven't been through introduction.
Only
so we
Elise
go right back.
Getting shortchanged on screen time.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pacing, guys. No, but Rosanna, tell us.
Wow. Skip me then. I won't get one.
Have you not done it?
No, we
Have we
did
not
Elise.
had anyone?
We did Elise, and then we tangented. We talked about the scary monsters for everyone, which I'd argue is more interesting than what's the first thing you remember. Because the first thing you remember is like one frame of.
What is the first thing you remember?
I'm told that I watched episode 1, series 1 when it happened, but I don't really remember that. But I remember watching it on DVD with my brother. So I don't know when in the timeline it was, but we would get each series DVD and
What was it that like got you into it though? Can you remember that, or was it just a sort of you were brought up with it, you had to watch it?
Really, really good. Like, if I was summing it up, I'd go with that. But I kind of tuned out of Matt Smith during Series 6 just because like
it's rubbish. Yeah.
I mean, there's that, but also my parents wouldn't put it on. So the thing that got me back into it was Series 7, which I remember that was like when I was old enough that I could tell my parents to leave the lounge because I'm having the telly for an hour. So Series 7's the first one that I watched on my own like without the family. And I remember the Crimson Horror I thought was great. I thought all of it was great. Just the
great.
Clara stuff. We don't need to divorce. Are you joking? Let's not go there. But the Clara stuff was smashing.
No, I remember they had the child called Artie, and I remember in the playground, Shantai, shout out to Shantai. Shantai was going around going, "Oh my gosh, Artie, you're in Doctor Who! Wow!"
I've only seen my name and pop like it outside of myself twice, and it is Artie in Doctor Who, and also a girl that I ran into at the swimming pool whose mum called Artie, and I was like, yeah, and then this like 6-year-old girl just ran past me, and I was just like, oh God, what is the world coming to?
But yeah,
sorry, Rosanna, what's your first memory of Doctor Who?
Trying to get my lighting sorted because it's went really dark.
Yeah, it has gone really. I was thinking that.
Because obviously I'm relying on natural sunlight and it died. Anyways.
So was I. And then we were meant to start 53 minutes ago. And
to be fair, the podcast's probably going to be roughly an hour long, so it would have got dark anyway. This is entirely...
Also, Joe's terrible at organisation. What? Did I say that?
Do you want to take this outside?
I will.
Anyways, so I have always been watching Doctor Who ever since I was literally like born. And everyone's like, you don't remember it. But I was a smart baby. I was a smart child. I do remember it. And it was written in all my baby books. Rosanna really likes watching X Factor and Doctor Who. Priorities, guys. And I just always remember it. I know that sounds really daft because I probably rewatched it and stuff, but I always remember like window shop dummies really stick out to me because I was actually terrified of them. And I think it was similar to Elise with School Reunion and just Sarah Jane. I love this woman. Like, because
I'm couldn't tell.
Yeah, I'm a bit younger than you guys as well. So Sarah Jane was like what really stood out to me. But I particularly remember season 2 and season 3, all of season 3, and also Doomsday. Oh my God, the way I felt about Doomsday is just like I used to go on the wall and like pretend to be Rose Tyler. And
I can put in the clip of you, even now, when you watch Doomsday, she cries constantly.
Guys, it's really sad, okay? Because Rose is not with the Doctor anymore, and it's just the music and Billie Piper's a really good actress, guys.
But she comes back in like 2 seasons time.
Yeah, but that's not the point!
They didn't know that at the time, to be fair. They didn't know that then. You know?
No, but we all know it now, and she's still crying.
I guess it's just the fact that they can never be together, can they? Properly.
Yeah.
But they do go together.
Yeah, but it's not him.
I'm sorry, I have emotions!
I think the point is he has to watch himself get with her, which is probably the worst thing ever.
No, I don't really cry at that. I'm like, get it. I'm like,
yeah. No, but I just mean, like, imagine if you loved someone and then you see an exact replica of you going away with them.
It's slightly shitty of you that you've gone, oh, you're a bit wrong. Have my ex-girlfriend instead.
It's not ideal.
I had a girly sleepover once, and she made me do all the Billie Piper music video answers for about 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then we finished and we were like, oh, we drank wine or gin or something and then just cried to Doomsday from another 3 hours.
Emotional. Yeah, we learned all the did we learn what's that song called? It's like something deep inside. It's a bop.
Yeah. And she knew them all and she was like, no, come on, Elise, you're not getting it right. Sorry, Billie Piper.
I learned that at such a young age because I found out Billie Piper was a pop star in 2013. I've got to put the washing in.
Right, while Rosanna goes to do the washing,
do you want me to do mine?
Tell us your tale.
So I think I've said this a couple of times. My first episode was the next Doctor. As I mentioned before, unlike with I think pretty much everyone else here, like my family were not into it at all. My dad was the very traditional dad of like vaguely remember a guy in a scarf, but that's about it, you know, just something like that. I think he saw Doctor Who on Christmas one day. Specifically, it was the next Doctor, and he was like, you might like that. And look where we are now. And I watched it and I loved it. I always was really interested in history as a kid, so that probably helped. And obviously, like, the whole thing of, like, time travel really appealed to me. I loved Back to the Future as a kid as well.
It's a weird one to draw you in, though, because I feel like the next Doctor relies a lot on, like... Because the first 5 minutes is all about, like, Rose and
it's such a funny one, because you wouldn't think it would, but I think what did it was the idea of this guy being other people. that was really interesting to me. Like the idea of like, oh, but he changes, but he thinks he's him, but he's not.
It's an interesting one to draw you in as well, because, like, you know, between you liking this and Night Terrors, are your favourites just the boring episodes?
Well, no. I wouldn't call Night Terrors, I wouldn't call The Next Doctor a favourite either, but I do have a lot of nostalgia towards it because
my dad is like insistent that the guy who plays Jackson Lake, I can't remember his name, but my dad has always been like, I think he would have been a brilliant Doctor.
Yeah, he probably would have. I remember as well just thinking like the Cyber King was absolutely sick, like just as like a visual, like he's huge. But then after that, like obviously carried on basically from there, kind of similarly to some of you. I had like the DVDs. I distinctly remember having the Rose End of the World DVD and not being the smartest child, so not remembering that there was a second episode on it afterwards. So I watched Rose thinking, oh well, guess that's it for a while. And then like I went to go and have some lunch and then it carried on playing and I was like, hang on, no, I'm gonna watch more. And then so basically went back and watched all of it. And then I also remember, you know, David Tennant leaving and having a conversation with my brother, like, how can they do this? How can they do it? But then I loved Matt Smith. So I never really got the Matt Smith hate that everyone else did when they were young. I was always like, yeah, he's good.
I've always found it a shame that I feel like I'm the only one here who never got to experience the Tennant era unspoilt. Like when I watched it, because I'd catch like the odd episode on UK Gold or whatever, or Artie's DVDs. It was always out of order. And more importantly, Artie would just explain the plot and ruin it while the episode was on.
Do you know what? I'm not having this absolute rubbish. I tried to get you to watch Doctor Who and Star Wars and Stranger Things years before you watched any of them. But you never take my recommendations. And then 2 years later, you're like, I've just seen this and it's great. And I'm have you. Gee.
I like how you went on a villain monologue for that. That
was Mark from Peep Show vibes.
I'm not going to be in this if you bring that crap up.
But I was going to say as well, I can't remember if I've told you this, but one thing I remember that you spoiled as well, which I will never forgive you for, I was reading all of the Harry Potters in chronological order. I don't think you could even read at the time. But
I remember you being annoyed at this. I will take flack for this because I don't like Harry Potter.
I was reading The Goblet of Fire, right? And then our teacher was like, oh, should we watch a film in class? So they put on The Goblet of Fire, and politely, because there was me and some other people that were reading the book, we were like, oh, can we not have it? Because obviously it will spoil it for us. So Artie proudly declares, what, it'll spoil the fact that Mad-Eye Moody is actually Barty Crouch Jr. and blah, blah, and just describes the entire plot to all of us.
I wanted to watch the movie.
The funny thing is, the Goblet of Fire movie is also one of the weaker ones, if I remember correctly.
Goblet of Fire is my favourite.
No,
it's cool concept.
My boy.
Did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire?
It's got Twilight in. You gotta love that.
I don't think he's called Twilight.
Twilight is.
He's called Batman.
Because Thary's mentioned the DVDs, I have the strongest memory of opening and looking at all of the different DVDs. And you know how on the inside covers they'd have like an amalgamation of all the different episodes and bits and bobs from each. And I'm trying to name, like, getting this one from this episode and this one's from this episode. Like, Daddy, did I get it right? Did I get it right? And then the one that always scared me from that was the Absorbaloff from Love and Monsters. Just from the cover, because I don't know if you've seen the series 2 thing. I've got it round the corner, and it's literally like he's half of the page, and it's huge, and there's all these faces coming out of him. And I didn't remember watching that episode, and I was like, I'm never going to watch that one. That's a bit too scary for me.
Yeah, it's really terrifying.
Wasn't the Absorbaloff envisaged as like a giant creature though?
Yeah,
like I think it was supposed to be in the mind of Channel Pup, who out to that guy. Yeah, he wanted it to be a giant, scary thing, and instead they put Peter Kay.
Can you imagine if we'd have got the Absorbaloff with the budget that they have now? So, like, imagine if they ran the same competition. It would
still be Peter Kay.
It would still look bad.
I just don't get the idea for the thong, Because the Slovene don't wear a thing.
Yeah, but would you rather it just...
Oh no, think about the
Just
Slovene.
Peter Kay hanging
Do you
loose,
really, do you really want it to
just waddling his way down the street.
The genuine article.
They could have just like done the Slovene, where it's like, you know, like Family Guy characters.
Yeah, I suppose. But then also, I don't know, I feel like because the Slovene are so not human looking, it's not as weird. Whereas when it's clearly like a bloke, it's like, what's going on there? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know why you're thinking that, Joseph.
Also, I feel like that episode hurt Peter Kay's dignity enough. We don't need to take it any further.
I think he apparently, I haven't actually seen his live show, but apparently in his live show he has like a segment where he just talks about how absolutely dreadful and how it was like the worst decision of his life. It's fair play to it. But speaking of worst, see, this is a smooth transition here.
Nice.
Worst episodes of Doctor Who ever. What is the single worst episode? And I'm asking this question and stalling because I genuinely don't know what mine would be.
There's like the obvious ones that come to mind, but they're like, the problem with bad Doctor Who is bad Doctor Who is also kind of fun Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Can we take Love and Monsters and
Yeah.
three?
And Sleep No More. Can we take that out?
Wait, I'm going to go on iPlayer and look because I
To
do.
be fair, I honestly think the worst thing a Doctor Who story can be is
It's boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's
Let's bring Sleep No More back in.
you can if you want. For me, I can say mine. It's Legend of the Sea Devils. I've said it so many
Is it
times.
flat out of all time?
I mean, there are some that I hate from like classic, like Invasion of Time. If you've ever seen that one,
That's the Sontarans on Gallifrey?
yeah, and the one with the tin foot. Yeah, no, not for me. So there's that one. Obviously, if you want to talk, I really don't like the Series 9 opener. I'm gonna say that. Throw that out there.
It's not the best.
Is that both episodes, like, or specifically the first part?
I think it would be both. I mean, I think I remember the first, because I remember there being a point in my life where I was kind of falling out of love with Doctor Who. I was like Series 9, I'd been around high schoolish age, and I just remember seeing the tank, and as like a 13-year-old who wanted to be cool, looking at that and going, that is cringe. And I was like, I genuinely like sort of didn't watch a lot of Series 9. I watched Series 10 on broadcast, but then obviously it turned me on.
There's nothing worse than one of the worst feelings in the world is because whenever there was a new series of Doctor Who, I'd always be sat in form time at school, and I'd be like, "No, guys, it's actually going to be good this time. Like, he's going to be like like David Tennant that you love. It's actually going to be like that."
Yeah.
And then they'd watch the episode, and the second-hand embarrassment I'd feel of like, no, it's not
always like this, guys. I promise.
The amount of people I told to watch Space Babies.
Oh no, I know.
I got that so much.
Yeah, I got that as well.
No,
it was awful.
I fully told basically everyone in my uni. I was like, because they watched the Star Beast and a bunch of them enjoyed it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, the Meep's great. I'm gonna make a TikTok edit of him." And I was like, "Okay, that's cool." But then I was like, right, Series 1, it's Shooty Gatwa. You love him. He's from Sex Education. You're all gonna really like it. And
It's
no,
funny
genuinely same. My boss at uni, we always talk about like movies and stuff, but he's like a massive ponce, even more so than I am. So like he recommends these sort of like there's this 6-hour Russian movie called like Titanico or something, and he's just like, you just watch it and you just experience what it's like to be in Russia when you're poor. And so we have these long conversations, and I always bang on about Doctor Who, and then Series 1 was starting, and I was just like, look, it's not your thing, but Doctor Who sometimes goes to interesting places. I showed him clips of the Satan Pit, I really had my hopes up, and genuinely I was working the week afterwards, and I was just like, did you watch it? And he was like, yeah. I was just, oh god. Yeah. Some of Doctor Who's cringe, but you never know, it might pick up again. And he was just, it wasn't for me.
I do think it's really difficult to get people who've never seen Doctor Who into it, because there's not a fantastic jumping on point, I find. Like they're all a bit Like,
even series 1, like people often say just start with series 1, but you got to bear in mind series 1's 20 years old now. Like it has aged.
2005 and like the blurry.
Yeah, it has aged. As great as it still is.
Like even people that don't have the nostalgia for Doctor Who, like people will still watch that and be like, oh, it feels so 2000s, and then like Y2K aesthetic to it, and it really like, I don't know. I mean, I'm quite good at convincing people to watch Doctor Who. I just keep talking about it until they go, fine, watch it, it's fine.
It's the best way.
Yeah, it's the only way.
I'm really good at putting people off Doctor Who.
Maybe that's just you.
Maybe.
Through their eyes, and I sit down with them. I'm like, "You watching Doctor Who? What did you think of this episode? Who's your favourite companion?" Like every single time, I need all of their opinions about it.
Did you see David Tennant over there?
Did you see the fact that Rose turned around? Isn't that amazing? And then
this era is the first time like I managed to get my mum watching Doctor Who for like the longest time, because she wasn't before this. Like obviously she knew of it and she had to tolerate my conversations about it for many years. But, you know, obviously she was like, okay, you know, because I think I've said this before, I managed to get a ticket to see the Star Beach like a couple of days early. And she was like, you know, I'll come with you. And I was like, all right, then, yeah, sure. So she watched that. She loved it. She loved Donna particularly. She thought Donna was great. And obviously she watched then all of the three 60th ones. Loved it. Loved Ncuti Gatwa's introduction in The Giggle. She even said that in the barbershop, they were like talking about how fit Ncuti Gatwa was when she was having a haircut. So I was like, it's working. We got the mums on board. Obviously, she watched last series and we would text back and forth, you know, what did you think? And I asked her about Space Babies and her reaction was, that wasn't for me. You know, in the most diplomatic way. And she's like, no, not a fan of that one, not a fan of that one. But the weeks following, she loved Maestro. So there you go.
I'll give Russell the benefit of the doubt in that the original plan was Church on Ruby Road is the introductory episode, and then the next week you'd get Space Babies, etc. So from that perspective, I do think Church on Ruby Road, while somewhat mixed reception from the fandom, my family watched it on Christmas Day and my mum was like, that's my favourite episode of Doctor Who ever, and in her words, because I actually understand it. And then my cousin who's just had a kid and like someone else that they're friends with were talking about like, oh yeah, because they used to watch it back with Matt Smith, and when I was a kid I'd talk to them about it and they were like, we thought we'd tune in for the new era. Now, like, we've got a kid, let's see what's going on. And they were like, it was really good. It was not like we remembered at all, but it was really good. I do think the Space Babies is what ruins it, because Church on Ruby Road, I think, did get a lot of people on board. Like, it was a different feel, and it felt really new, and the Doctor felt different, but that was, I think, quite good. It's just a shame that, I don't know, because also Space Babies isn't that bad of an episode.
No, it's not really.
I liked it. I actually preferred it to the one that came after. I thought it was a bit more. I thought that was quite. I can't remember the name of it now, but it was a bit messier and it was a bit everywhere. I didn't like it. I didn't think it was as succinct of a plot, and I just liked Space Babies. I mean, it's silly. It's not one of my top episodes of all time, but I thought. I mean, showed it to Charlie Joe, who does the music for Echo's End, and she's the most toilet humour person you'll know. And I was like, great, they parachute with farts. She's going to love this. And then she didn't get on board with it, and they were all like, oh. Is this what Doctor Who is now? And I was like, I had fun with that one. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be like a late series episode, like a James Corden.
Or a mid-middle somewhere.
It's a stupid thing, like a pre-finale rubbish.
Bit of fluff, really, isn't it? Yeah.
Look at that New Earth was, you know.
Well, that's what my point is. It's not that much more zany than New Earth is, really. When you think about it, David Tennant's first full episode is him going, you're a little bit foxy, and he's doing a whole, like...
I think the difference lies in the fact that Space Babies is basically... And I know they wanted to do it as just after Church on Ruby Road, but that's like episode 1 or episode 2 to people that have never seen the show. I don't think Space Babies is that bad if you're already a Doctor Who fan.
Yeah, no, I agree, yeah.
Like, you get it, it's a one-off, fun, silly episode, but I think it's almost too bizarre and too out there for the people that have never seen Doctor Who. Like,
it's also
anyone I know
with
who
New
watched
Earth.
it, they couldn't get on board.
Also with New Earth, like it's kind of a bizarre and weird episode, but the thing that everyone was like hooked into Doctor Who at that point for was like the Doctor Rose will they won't dynamic, and they just spend the whole episode like baiting that. So it doesn't matter what rubbish is going on screen, like it's still got a character hook.
It's got a sad ending as well. Like the emotional beats of dying.
Yeah, that is true.
The ending of New Earth does.
I think it's funny because I remember we went to the cinema see Space Babies, didn't we, Joe? The little early thing in Cardiff, and I remember like watching it in a vacuum. You sit there and go, "This is all right," but I think what you don't account for then is how it's going to be seen and interpreted by the rest of the world, and you sort of come to realize that like. In a vacuum, if you just watch Space Babies on its own, as a Doctor Who person, you're like, that's a fine episode. It's nothing special. It's there. It's like the most there Doctor Who episode ever. But I think you're right. It's as a series launch, it just doesn't have it. Doctor Who episode.
I think it's the biggest problem with season 1 is it's all over the place. Individually, each episode isn't that bad. They're actually quite enjoyable. They're quite good. But when you go from Space Babies to Devil's Cord to Boom, like Boom is great, but it's the most standard Stephen Moffat Doctor Who ever. And then you're going straight to like 73 Yards, which is basically the Twilight Zone. Then you go into an episode of Black Mirror, and then you're going into like 2007 Doctor Who with Rogue. It's like, where's the through line? Because why Series 1 with Eccleston worked so well? It's such a clear through line. They go to different locations.
Series 1 is so strong.
Yeah, it gets darker and darker, and like Dalek is like, because I feel like they always need a good midpoint double feature. I love when they do a midpoint double feature, and you've got like the best episodes in there. You've got the Satan Pit, you've got I was gonna say the Daleks in Manhattan, but I do like that episode, but it's just a bit
rubbish.
I like it.
Rubbish. And then
Saris likes it because it's another boring episode.
No, it's not boring. Saris, I'm going to stay with you on this one.
Daleks in Manhattan is so dull.
How can you think that?
Oh, you've got it's so funny. And you've got Andrew Garfield, and you've got the icon that is Tallulah, the musical.
You've got the Trump impersonator doing like the worst American accent ever.
What are you called, Daleks?
With the idea of having the tonal like through thread, this is one of the things that really upset me about season whatever it's called. But I've gone on so many times to you guys before about how I like having a through thread, and that's why I like the River Song thing so much, because I do genuinely feel like we're working out a bit of the mystery. But with this whole who's Ruby's mum thing, it felt to me so forced, and it was like, oh, okay, well, we can do whatever we want. We can jump all over the place tonally because we've got this one thing that we're trying to find out. And it felt like the most tacked on bit ever.
Especially because of how they resolve it as well.
Especially because of that. But even if they had some kind of crazy ending for it, it feels like they fell back on that and they relied on that to kind of push it through. But there wasn't really enough of a there wasn't a cohesive series at all.
I think there's also an element. Sorry to get you off, Joe. I was going to say, I think there's also an element of the fact that doing that kind of series arc in 8 episodes is really, really, really hard.
Yeah.
Like it's really difficult to do. Like a narrative. I got wait. You don't agree? Wait, okay.
It is not difficult in an 8 episode series. You have ample time. It's like Flux, okay. Look, I'm not going to defend the ending of Flux. I'm not even going to try.
All the rest of it?
But it could have achieved and did start to achieve really interesting things. I think the problem with what's it called? The one we all watched together. The one where Sutek's first.
The Legend of Ruby Sunday.
Legend of Ruby Sunday.
The
problem with it is at the start, they just arrive. They go, right, we're going to figure out who Ruby's mum is today. And then they're like, right, we're going to do this. Where's the motive from this? If at the end of Rogue something happened and it leads you into the finale, it just sort of happens.
It's just little things like that wouldn't surely take too much. Now, I don't know what kind of say Disney Plus has got in it, but that is such a little thing, as you say, that you could stick on in the last 3 or 4 minutes of the previous episode, and then it's such this. I don't know. It's so simple, but why aren't they doing it?
I get the feeling it's being cut down. You do kind of get
I'll
the
defend Russell here, though. We know for a fact it was cut down. Originally, there was a whole sequence beforehand. Well, it's maybe Disney's not great for the show, but there was a whole sequence beforehand where they're in, I think it's like the Roswell incident or something.
Yes, yeah,
And,
Area
like,
51.
it all builds up, and the Doctor's like, right, we've got to figure out what's going on. Titles, you go to unit, happy days. But instead, also, just while it's on my mind, why is Susan so like out of nowhere? Do you know what, like Ruby, like, the whole
thing. I do wish it kind of became like she is Sutek following them around instead of one of the minions.
You know what I found really funny when there was, because obviously there was the midnight screening at the cinemas. I went to go see it in my local cinema, and I remember, like, obviously Legendary Sunday, everyone's incredibly like, going along with it because they'd seen the episode, they were getting hype, Sutek reveal, all great. Episode 2 comes on, you could hear a pin drop, but more than that, I remember leaving, and as I was leaving, obviously there was a couple in front of me, and they were saying like, oh, I really wanted to see Susan. They built up towards Susan. They'd had all these little hints towards her, and then to not do it. And I almost do think if you're going to evoke Susan, you gotta commit to that. I feel like.
But I also think if you compare it to season 2, 3, and 4, it's season 1 as well, where they had like season 2, you had the whole Torchwood, Bad Wolf, you had the Daleks coming in and the Cybermen, all in.
There's snow coming out.
Season 2 wasn't as subtle. No, season 3 wasn't as subtle, but it's also like the the like the 4 knocks and the weird people like coming in and being like vote Saxon and then you've got the season 4, which I think has the best, like when Rose walks in and then you see her on the screen and like the bees disappearing, and like, first of all, me as a child, when I saw that blonde woman was Billie Piper, I was like, oh my god, it's Rose. But I also thought, what's going to happen to Donna's keys for our car?
The big questions.
Yeah, I know.
And like, I loved as a kid spotting Rose because she shows up on the telly, she shows up on like little things.
Part of me wonders if a reason why that worked and season 1's finale didn't is because season 1's finale and build-up is very contingent on nostalgia for the classic series.
But I think the thing is, though, it doesn't need to be like that, because you could argue the same for a Dalek. But just the visceral reaction the Ninth Doctor has to seeing that Dalek cements it as this is something to be terrified about. You understand that it's got a history, but you understand. Imagine if in Dalek he walks into the room and watches Genesis of the Daleks on an iPad.
Yeah,
like you'd lose all sense of like. Do you know what I mean?
But I think that's the thing.
It could have been. All we need to say.
Actually,
to say is he is the god of death. I think people get it. You don't need the iPad.
You say that, to be fair, David Tennant, his first interaction with Davros is on a TV. It's he hears Davros over the TV and then has a panic attack. Like, it not dissimilar.
But the best. No, but the best.
I know what it means.
When he's in the top, I mean, I'm not actually making a serious.
When he's in the TARDIS, it's like that 4-way Skype, but the
subwave network.
Yeah, but David Tennant's reaction isn't.
No, I wasn't making a salient point.
No, but it's not as good as this woman here.
That's true. That's true.
Luke, that like really cements it in. Whereas they didn't really have that. Like, you should have had Kate or what's her name? The redhead woman from EastEnders. Mel. She should have had a bigger reaction, but obviously she probably didn't see Sutek. That's why we need this woman.
But this is why, right? I'm telling you now, the Rani has to be back in season 2, because why else is Mel there? I'm sorry, she's lovely, but she is so irrelevant.
She's a good actress.
The Doctor Who, though, they're like, oh yeah, what should we do for the fans? We'll bring someone back again. Like, yeah, they just do random stuff like that. Oh my god. Oh, I'm such and such in concrete, resonating concrete. No, shut up. They just pick up random things. They go, the fans will love that, and shove it in. That's what they've done.
Think I've got a conspiracy theory. My conspiracy theory is Mel was written to be Martha. Because if you go to the 60th, you get Donna back, you get Tennant back, you get all of that. And there's this old companion working at unit, helping the Doctor out. I wouldn't be surprised if she was supposed to be Martha, then for whatever reason, Freema can't come
Freema
back.
Algerman's a busy lady. She's
Yeah.
on.
Or they don't want to touch the territory of her being married to Mickey. Either one of those.
Yeah.
But,
Or maybe he just
could
thought
have
it was too many,
divorced.
it was too many references to his own era too quickly.
With Tom Ellis, please, because we never got. You never.
Yeah, that's true.
No,
Recently,
Tom Ellis. I've got beef with Tom Ellis. That man.
Oh no, Tom!
That
Oh,
man turned. If Russell T Davies asks you to be in an episode of Doctor, you don't turn it down.
yeah, but also he was in Miranda.
Were any of you lot around when? Well, you would have been around, but it's whether you saw the rumours when the 12th Doctor. It was reported in all the papers that Miranda was going to be the 12th Doctor.
It was Miranda and the guy from Death in Paradise.
Yeah, Chris Marshall.
Yes.
It's like
Marshall
I
was always
remember.
there.
He gets floated every time there's a new Doctor.
So does I've seen what's his name? Well, obviously Richard Ayoade, which I just think what?
No.
People just think, he's vaguely nerdy looking. That'll do. And I honestly think that's the logic behind Richard Ayoade. What I was going to say, though, sort of circling back to what we were talking about earlier with the incorporation of, the villains and, how the Daleks worked, but Sutekh didn't in Series 1 as opposed to Season 1. I think the thing is, what Russell T Davies 1 does brilliantly that Russell T Davies 2 doesn't do as well, and I think it's not just exclusive to this era, but it's happened for a while, is RTD1 did this brilliant thing where it made the old stuff relevant to what was happening in the current. So, for example, when you see the Daleks, it's not only, it's the Daleks, it's also, they're the things that took away the Doctor's planet.
I think, though, to be fair, the whole Sutekh being the god of gods and the one who waits and all of that, the problem is simply when you get to Legend of Ruby Sunday and Empire of Death, I think Russell got a bit too fan-brained. He stopped remembering that this needs to be accessible and was just like, no, the backlog's on iPlayer. If they want to watch it, they can watch it.
Yeah, I also think there's a mistake not to tie Sutekh in some way directly to the Doctor's character arc, because when Russell introduced the Master and the Daleks, I mean, the Daleks were a direct response to the Doctor's PTSD over the
Why
time.
don't you just die?
I mean, exactly. It's he doesn't like the Time War, so he doesn't like the Daleks. And then after Rose goes, Series 3 is kind of the start of the whole Lonely Doctor thing that they haven't stopped harping on about ever since. But so the Master is a direct response to this lonely figure. And Sutekh is in no way responsible to any of the Doctor's
I'll tell you
character.
where they went wrong with this. And it's not just because he's my favourite villain. Timeless Child is the biggest Doctor-related character thing, right? The Gallifrey, he wants to know where he came from. Ruby wants to know where she came from. And if you bring back the better god in a mask from Classic Who, Omega,
I will fight you over this.
He was there. He was
You
there.
could call it the return of Omega.
He was there. He would have the answers that the Doctor wants. He'd have known Tectayun. They'd have probably gone to the pub together or
Oh
something.
my god, no, that name just
They would have gone to the pub together. It just becomes like an EastEnders type soap opera where it's
Exactly.
Tectayun is
oh my god,
just-
why aren't you playing child support for little Doctor Who? What's going on?
Do you know how annoyed you get at Serafina Capelon? That's how annoyed I get at Tectayun.
Serafina Pecalon.
stupid.
I stand by, I think Sutekh as a villain is really cool. He's my favourite Classic Who villain.
I wonder why.
But yeah, can you tell?
a little clue.
No, me and Joe would often debate which one's better, Omega and Sutekh, and we always
Omega
thought
sounds so cool.
yeah, I know. But we were always obviously,
Oh my god, sounds like a food.
it does a bit. But we were always which one's going to come back first? And I finally got my wish this series. Sutekh came back.
Wished on a monkey's paw.
It was a bit.
He's now
yeah.
a dog. He
Well,
looks
I can't wait for Omega to come back and he'll be a watch.
I
I
realised the other day, have any of you, I can't remember, it's like Bad Caravan Holidays. I can't remember what it's called. It's, but I'll find a picture and put it on screen.
Like Haven or
Yeah,
something.
it's not Haven, but it's one of them. There's one of their mascots. There's the evil dog guy that looks identical to Sutekh. I'm going to put it on screen. He genuinely, I saw it the other day and I was like, that's just Sutekh. But we've harped on season 1 long enough, and I
Wait,
feel like
before we stop harping on season 1,
quite enjoyed
can we
it.
carry on for another hour? The idea that Sutek, since Tom Baker has been perched on that TARDIS, I genuinely think is the biggest mistake. If they'd have said that Sutek just started like in the
Wild
Wild
Blue Yonder.
Exactly.
Why is
They'd
it
have
Wild
said
Blue
then,
Yonder?
people would be so much more on board with it. They've been around. Still, you can bollocks it and say, oh, the whole of time. Like, that's enough. But the idea that Sutek is perched on top of that TARDIS looking up Amy's skirt in that scene from the beach below, it's insane.
Just makes me think of John Barrowman holding on the TARDIS. He was just like,
Elise, I'm not sure your mic is working, by the way.
Hello.
It works. It's,
The amount of memes that were going around just like, oh, and this episode, and this episode, and this episode. And it's like, did they think about that? Again, it's the little things. Did Russell sit there and go, oh, how does it work in this episode? Or did he just go, oh, imagine if it... I love Russell T Davies, but he needs to stop writing Doctor Who and start writing fan fiction. Like, he's done his bit. Like, move on, be like, oh, and then this, and I've got this, and it's in a really cool Wattpad document that we can all go read and go, oh, imagine if this happened.
Or a drawing of Sutek holding his breath in the scene from Legend of the Sea Devils. Just like...
or like, you know, in the Satan pit where he's like right at the bottom with Satan.
That guy's voice sounds familiar. I wonder.
Like
have you seen the ones of him
conversation.
piggybacking in The Doctor's Wife?
My favourite meme of that was when it was the Day of the Doctor memes, and it was just all the Sutek.
Yeah, chatting to each other.
Yeah. No, the one thing I'll say, even though I really dislike Empire and Death, before we end the season 1 slinging match that this has sort of become, I do want to say I'm actually more of a fan of it than Joe is.
I like it as well, but
I think
complaining is more fun.
Because the thing is, that midpoint for me, that boom, 73 yards, dot and bubble, those three, genuinely for me, one of the strongest runs of Doctor Who of the last
No, I really like episode 2 as well.
Yeah, I like Devil's Cord.
A lot of people don't like Devil's Cord.
I do like Devil's Cord, but I'm thinking if you're just talking like quality, for me, those 3 episodes are the one where I'm like, that's a really.
I think you're leaving out Rogue, and I think Boom's Dot and Bubble and Rogue are fantastic.
Yeah, Rogue would probably be that. The thing is, Rogue's fun, but I think the others have more going on, which is the reason why I highlight those 3.
It's just a shame that it starts and ends with the bad points.
Yeah.
Because if it started well and ended well, this would be a really respected season.
One of the things I think, that's one of the things I think is telling, is if you actually looked at the reaction to the series week by week, it was getting more positive, after Space Babies, which was a bit of a low point. And then the finale came out and everyone went, oh. And I do think that you're right. If the opener and the finale had been decent, I think that the conversation would be very different, because I think a lot of the episodes on their own are quite good.
My top point of the whole series was, I thought that was non-diegetic.
That is good, yeah.
That's lovely. But why on earth was, out of all of the things that Sutek has seen as he's sat there, why does he care about who Ruby's mum is? He doesn't care. I'm not being funny. The mysteries. Why didn't he go, oh, I wonder who River Song is? Like, no, all of these things that he could have gone on about, but it's fine. But also, I'm not a big fan of 73 yards, so I know that you guys quite like that. And
I'm with you on that.
It's
no, I love 73 yards.
I quite like it. I mean, it's
I do feel like it was designed for, because I see a mysterious woman is walking and following this girl.
Yes,
I saw a TikTok like that, and it had like 5 million views or something. It was mad.
Yeah,
I don't think people knew that it was Doctor
Who.
Who.
It's designed. I honestly like it was.
The TikToks are better than the episode.
I think the problem with it is the ending. Because the setup, the idea of her, like I mentioned it earlier, but the Watcher terrified me from Classic Who. And there is just something about the fact that at 73 yards away, you can't really see them. It's terrifying.
Yeah.
So why do we get lost in a Welsh nationalist subplot?
So they needed something like Turn Left had the Scarab kind of thing. They just needed something to bring it into Doctor Who as like a standalone sort of like Inside Number 9 style episode. It's like, it's great.
I really enjoyed it because like the fact that like, but what I didn't enjoy was her being 40 years years old and they put like 2 wrinkles down.
yeah. Pair of glasses.
Glamorous 40-year-old I've
Yeah, and I was like, why has she still got the same hair?
We
And
need to
that
know her
wig
skincare
was,
routine. Like that's
that wig was something.
I really enjoyed the start. I thought the start was really strong. Like that in the Welsh pub.
Unit as well when they came in.
But then Unit just running, I don't know, it felt like, I mean, we have to suspend our belief a lot with this show, and I just couldn't stretch to it, that one. But it's really funny because my dad, big classic Who fan, loves a lot of modern Who, but he's dropped off kind of since Capaldi, actually, like mid.
Yeah, that's the same with my dad.
He just didn't, I mean, he liked Matt Smith, but he dropped off after that. Even though he likes Peter Capaldi, but just wasn't a big fan. I made him watch this series to see what he thought of it. Not a big fan, but he did really like 73 Yards. That was the one that stuck out to him. And for me, I'd say that's what, excluding Empire of Death, that would probably be my least favourite episode. I just did not connect with it at all because it got me up so high and I was really enjoying it, and it just disappointed me so much.
I think it is one of the most Marmite episodes of Doctor Who to ever exist. It's like, it's one of those where the people who love it really love it, and the people who don't really don't. Do you know? I think that's the way you could kind of describe a lot of the series broadly. For me, I think Dot and Bubble is really, really strong. I think it's a really cool premise. You know, exactly. You don't like it. That's what I'm saying.
She was so irritating. I know you.
That's the point.
I know you meant to hate her, but like at least make her a fun person.
I thought she was hilarious. Then I was like, oh, she's a hilarious racist. Okay.
Oh, you know who I love though? That pop star guy. I was like, I love him.
I think that it is exactly what we're saying here. The fact that it's so mixed and like there's not a single person that loves all the episodes, and I think. Normally, like if series 1 with Eccleston, you either get on board with the tone or you don't. Like you're either on the train of that series or you're not. Whereas this, it's like the train will get you to a couple of stations, then they'll kick you off. There'll be a replacement bus, then they'll get you back on a train, then it's cancelled.
It's just a UK average day.
Exactly. Maybe it's just a brilliant metaphor for trains. Back in 2005, they were running smoothly. We could get anywhere we wanted for cheap prices, and now it's all fallen.
Maybe the state of British public transport correlates to the reception of Doctor Who.
So if Doctor Who becomes government funded, we'll have a good.
Maybe.
I'll tell you what I liked about talking about trains, you know, the part in 73 Yards where Ruby's on it. I like the behind the scenes.
I think those episodes are shot really well as well. Like they look
it
really
all
good.
looks really nice.
Yeah, there is only one moment that really, really bugs me in all of season 1. You got the Disney money, you got all this. See if anyone can guess it. There's one.
Oh, is it Boom with the?
Is it the run in Boom?
No.
Oh, I think Boom should have been shot in a quarry. I don't know why.
I agree.
Church on Ruby Road. When Ruby's getting off the bus, the camera goes whoosh. Why is it wiggling about? Do another take. Like, it literally just goes like boom. But apart from
that, Boom should have been done in a quarry.
Yeah.
But one thing I love about the LED screen, and I don't think they used it enough, is like at the very start, it's so subtle, but when the camera rushes towards the open doors of the TARDIS, there's a changing perspective in the console room. Because it's a zoom, there's not much change of perspective because it's forwards and backwards. But I still just think that is such a nice touch, and I wish they'd have done more with it.
When's that?
At the very start of Boom, when the Doctor opens the TARDIS, the LED screen that's showing the sort of planet behind him is also showing the inside of the TARDIS. And so when the camera moves, like it moves with it. Like it's so different to like David Tennant when you would get a glimpse of a cardboard cutout as he closed the door.
Are you just pouring undiluted wine?
That's what I thought.
I'm about to go and fill it up with water.
I need my pure concentrate.
I really want to get a sandwich. How long is it going to take? Still getting
Sorry, do you want to give us your season 2 transition then? Go on.
Yeah, it's weird because obviously, like a lot of us, our issues with this. I was trying to make it completely natural.
Just for context to everyone watching, we just had a small break.
Oh my god!
And Thari's just did the most perfect transition, but he snapped like that. It was beautiful. We'll go again. Everybody, positions. Thari, snap into it. 3, 2, 1.
I think we're getting to like the heart of like the problem season 1 is the tonal kind of issues. And what's excited me about season 2 is how like tonally darker they're going with it overall. They're going a lot. It at least seems like it's a lot more consistent and a lot darker, which like I wanted after watching season 1. Because the problem is for me, and we didn't mention this for season 1, but one of my main issues was I think the Doctor laughing in the corner. Sorry, you just died.
Carry on.
No, okay. I was just saying that like one of my issues was the Doctor and Ruby, they got on way too well. They were like way too instant. We're best friends, yay! But I wanted a bit of tension, a bit of friction.
Yeah, we've got it with Belinda. She doesn't want to be there,
which I like.
Get me home. I like the hashtag, like the get Belinda home.
I feel like they're gonna half-ass this again, though. I think because from the actual trailers, can I also just say no spoilers, please? If that's okay. I really want to go in as blind as I possibly can. Only watching what they want us to see, not what Joe goes, oh, yeah, yes.
Joe and Darius are the worst because all I hear is, yeah, but
I like Joe and Darius.
Yeah. So do I.
Yeah.
They're okay people, but when it comes to spoiling
Arthur, your check will be in the post.
So they're gonna, because I mean, from the trailers we can see that despite her wanting to go home, they're still getting on quite well, and they still have like a fun dynamic between the two of them, which worries me a little bit because I think they're going to be like they're going to have one argument and then they're going to go check. That's the tension done, and then
I think
now let's see them having a nice time, and then once Linda will go, but Doctor, remember, we've just had so much fun, but you need to get me home, or something along those lines. I don't believe.
No, she gives me like, because I quite like this actress, shout out to Newcastle, but I feel like she's going to have some like flavour in her, because no offence to Ruby, but she's a bit dull.
I like Ruby, and I think Millie Gibson performs her well. There was just
really
no
good
conflict.
And I want her to like, a perfect example is Rose in episode 4 of season 2, where she's like, the Doctor's like,
homophobically attacks the Doctor.
Oh, when she's like, stay there, and then Mickey's like, oh, we should stay here, and she's like, no. I love
when did she homophobically attack the Doctor?
You're so gay.
Yeah.
When does she say that?
When they're on the rooftop. Do you not
Aliens
remember?
London.
Yeah, but that's not season 2.
I do just think with Ruby, it was just, I mean, not to keep bashing on season 1 because I know we're moving on to season 2, but it was like, what do I know about her? She's adopted and she plays the piano twice in the entire series. Like, I don't know anything about her. I don't care.
I forgot that.
That's right. She should play the piano in every episode. Just bring it out.
Imagine the Doctor is like. Imagine the Doctor. Imagine like there's an alien invasion going on, and she's like, "Hang on, guys, I can solve this."
To be fair though, like the one thing I've said about the TARDIS from like the first images we saw of it is the best part of Peter Capaldi's TARDIS is the clutter. It would be so neat if it had like a piano on one of the balconies. Ruby's feeling sad at the end of an episode because I don't know.
Mind that Ruby likes playing the piano. That's not my.
No, but it would actually be a neat thing for her to be diddling on the piano every once in a while in the TARDIS when she's feeling down.
Doing what on the piano?
Yeah, but you don't even see her in the TARDIS. Like, what I love about certain seasons, particularly like Matt Smith, Jenna Coleman seasons, is that they're just having fun in the TARDIS. That sounds really dodgy, but you know, I love
that
they're
crammed into the space of one.
I love that they're like blasting music, and I was expecting shitty. I've always said American Boys were really good, like TARDIS transition scene, the song, and like they're like lip syncing and.
Well,
like,
this is the problem I was going to say. If they put a piano in the TARDIS, they wouldn't be able to secure the rights to any of the songs, so we'd just be left with a load of holes, like how they were supposed to have Push the Button played in Space Babies to set up the whole. For the entire episode, they keep going, push the button, push the button.
Although, I tell you what, they had Kylie Minogue in that Jonathan Goldstein, and I was like, that doesn't make sense.
Did.
Kylie Minogue was in Voyage of the Dam, and then she's been like...
Joe, can I say a joke and can you cut it? I tried going. Can I go? Okay, go back. Everyone go back. Maybe Kylie Minogue is from an old Cardiff family.
Jesus.
That was the worst thing I've ever heard.
Thank God we stopped for that.
I don't get it.
My eyes. I'm so funny.
I don't really.
I'll mansplain the joke to you. In Journey's End, Gwen looks like Gwyneth from the Unquite Dead because.
Oh, that was a joke.
I think it was a good joke.
I don't.
Oh, Ellie, are you actually crying at your crap joke? You would say Australian family, surely, because they're both Aussie.
He's really not that deep.
You've really got to the root of the issue.
I don't think she thought.
You know what? That would be funny. Yeah, you're right.
That would fix it.
Go on.
It should be an old Stowe family, really.
Okay, gone a bit long. Not a bit long now.
You can hear it.
Season 2 looks good, doesn't it? There we go.
Yeah, we'll be positive now because I can't lie. Season 2, genuine. I reckon a lot of the things when you look into season 1, like them not having enough budget to have like the Goblin King smashing through the flat, or not having the pre-credits scene, pre-title scene in Legend of Ruby Sunday. I reckon if they aren't messed around a little bit because of scheduling, because of Disney, because of budget, season 2 has the potential to be another RTD banger. Because look at his prior work, it's all great. He does still have the sauce. Even the 60th is pretty good for the most part. And from what we've seen, from all the trailers, the vibe I'm getting is Russell T Davies writing Series 10 of Doctor Who. It feels like that vibe, and I'm totally on board.
I just want a cartoon episode. I've
Well,
always
we got the series for you, yeah.
I've always needed cartoons and musicals, and they disappointed me by not making them, like I said before, like dance. Like, you know, I want them to be like on a planet where they have no choice but to sing and dance, like in Shrek.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just can't control my.
I reckon the Interstellar Song Contest, it might just be a complete rip off of that Rick and Morty episode where, you know, you're like the big heads are like every planet has to sing. They have to provide their best singer.
I also think you could make it Doctor Who, and it's reminding me of, like, you know, Big Brother and like You Are the Way You Think Goodbye. I want it to be like that, but like messed up. I want it to be like your planet has to sing or you all die.
It sounds like this series was made for you because, you know, you started with Actor and Doctor Who. They're smushing it together, and you're even getting an animated episode.
I know.
Yeah.
Russell, hear you now.
He's just like, Rosanna. I get you.
Don't wish for
Rosanna,
everything, though, because you'll end up with your favourite villain being turned into a dog.
It's going to be a marvellous series.
And the new companions from Newcastle.
True.
Yeah.
what would be the villain of the Interstellar Song Contest?
You don't know.
Is there a
I think it might be the neighbour. That's what I think. That's my theory.
Mrs. Flood.
Oh.
Yes. I think it might be Mrs. Flood.
would you care to elaborate or just
Yeah, I got really confused. You meant as the neighbour? Were you like,
the Time
your
Lord,
neighbour?
the neighbour?
Oh, I like Mrs. Flood because she did the EastEnders song, which I didn't find out till last week.
I reckon, wild shout here, that no one's gonna get Melvin Collins, get him upstairs, he'll get me. But
bring up Melvin, to be fair.
yeah, we'll get him as a guest star at the end of the video.
Yes.
The Gods of Ragnarok. Okay, they were name dropped in the 60th, and what they did last time they were in Doctor Who, the greatest show in the galaxy, the Seventh Doctor had to perform to keep them entertained. Otherwise,
that's good.
Zap him. I reckon, Tharies, you're not stealing this for a title.
No.
I reckon they are going to be there, like they're big stone statue gods, kind of like Easter Island, and they sit and observe, and if they don't like what they're entertained with, they get zapped, which is why the Seventh Doctor does this whole playing the spoons thing. Could be them.
One of them should look like Simon Cowell.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you've got Rylan playing Rylan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need more Rylan because he was actually a contestant on the X Factor and Big Brother.
Was he?
Yeah, did you not know that? He had
Yes,
blonde
I
hair. Oh.
The prank.
I'm quite excited for him to be in that though, because he's got that kind of bit of a Caesar Flickerman about him as well.
Yeah,
that's true.
I hope that's how he plays it as well. I hope that's like the vibe.
Because I think he'll really rock that. Like, even just seeing him in that little thing, that got me quite excited for it, because he's not someone I would have ever expected to be in Doctor Who, but that's pleasantly surprised me.
Speaking of Caesar Flickerman, Stanley Tucci, I always mix him up with Alan Cummings, the animated episode. Alan Cummings looks so good. What an evening.
That was great.
What a segue.
I think, if nothing else, that animated episode is probably going to be one of the best looking episodes we've ever seen. If nothing else, I mean, it looks incredible, just visually.
And also, did anyone else watch that Dreamland back in the day?
Yeah.
Dreamland.
I used to love Dreamland. I used to watch it on like YouTube and stuff. Brilliant. So
I hope it's a bit better than Dreamland. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're going, it's as good as Dreamland. I've never
The animated.
I loved Dreamland as a kid. I used to really enjoy it because obviously I was loving Doctor Who and I just wanted more. But what I also want from this season is, because Russell writes his TV characters very well, you know, you could just watch Tennant and you could watch the two companions and like any Doctor have a nice conversation. A bit like The Power of Three, you know, you like watching their day-to-day lives. While as like, I don't know, I don't really care about Ruby's day-to-day life, and I want to care about the new companion's day-to-day life. I want there to be, you know what I mean?
I'm really resisting going on my usual Power of Three tirade.
Don't do
about
it.
Stephen Burkoff.
No.
Burkoff.
Stephen Burke. I genuinely think you wouldn't care that much if you enjoyed studying him in A levels.
Stephen Burkoff is the most pretentious man. You know what, Stephen? If you're still around, he's probably quite old now. I challenge you to come on this channel and explain your behaviour. Because the best episode Chris Chibnall ever wrote for Doctor Who, The Power of Three, was ruined because you, with all your pretentious drama, let's do makeup and act crazy. You thought you were too good to be in Doctor Who. You stormed off set. You deliberately messed up takes. Poor Matt Smith had to come up with the worst line of all time. He was never really here. So Stephen Burkoff, this is a public call out. Come to the Confused.
This is the YouTube boxing match we need.
It is. I will box Stephen Burkoff. I will get in a ring.
If you're watching, I really like your Plakovic.
I don't. It's pretentious. It's pretentious. I'm sorry. The Power of Three.
Wow.
We'll metamorphose this conversation into something else.
Very smooth.
Thank you so much.
If anyone in the audience of this podcast, no one's made it this far, but if any of them get this joke,
yeah, shout out to the Stephen Burkoff fans. Someone talk about something else, because I will just go
about that line, because the animation episode is really, I don't know anything to do with the monsters or anything of that. I don't know if you guys know anything about that episode in particular.
Not a lot, to be honest. That's one that they've kept I mean, we've seen footage of it.
Which episode are we talking about?
Episode 2. We know sort of vaguely.
I don't even know the titles, because used to are like Doctor Who, while it's like I'm like Elise and I'm.
It's almost like it's our job or something. That's crazy.
I want it to be quite secretive and just watch it in the moment.
That's fair. I do get that. I do sort of miss that, but then also like I really like dissecting everything. But no, I was going to say as well, I'm really interested in episode 5, the story in the engine, and that big spider, because the theory is that like well, maybe, but the theory I saw was that it's like an African god based on like I think they're called Anansi, or Anansi. I can never say it right. Yeah. But the idea I think is that aren't they like the god of story? I could be wrong.
They're a trickster god who is from some mythology. And they like have like a web of stories, something along those lines. And yeah, the episode's about missing people. So I think they're taking the people, taking their stories. There's something to do with the barbershop as well, because there's that trailer where this guy says to the doctor, like, tell us your story.
Yeah.
So I think that it's I reckon it's going to be like the long game. No, not the long game. What's it called? The Rings of Akaten. I don't know why I conflated
Oh,
the
I
two,
love that
where he has
show.
to
Oh, yeah.
give his life, give his story,
Oh yeah, that's
all of that
yeah.
jazz
I
to
didn't think
defeat
of that.
I
the
also need
monster.
shooty. I need more shooty speeches because I love.
True.
I was about to say we still haven't got an iconic Doctor monologue that we can like put into some edits and sadly watch them for far too long,
You
Yeah.
like
bring death
with
to
Murray
death.
Gold on repeat in the background.
Not
Like a
that
little, you know, in the Voyage of the Dawn where it's like, I'm a doctor. You get,
Yeah.
yeah,
get
sparks.
those sparks.
I did like, to be fair, one of the scenes that like we finally got recently of that I liked was the scene in Joy to the World where he's just slagging her off, like full on. He's like,
But I want
look
it to be like, take it all. But
no,
like,
I agree.
I also need more quotable moments because I can't remember a single. There's no I'm off a high. Like
I love how that's how you define it. Like,
that's my favorite thing.
The one that I always go back to is in the Christmas Invasion when it's like the spaceship, it's entering the atmosphere.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
yeah. To be fair, I do like just cherry sundae and the cup of tea. To be fair, I need her.
The tea's good because that was on
that was good.
the cabaret gala.
She's one of the only characters I cared about in the last season. Like, I didn't really care about Ruby. Obviously, I care about the Doctor because he's the Doctor. But Cherry Sunday, I was like, that is a woman that has a personality.
Yeah, I like her. I want her to come back. Make her the companion, as far as I'm concerned. Just have it be.
Cups of tea.
Oh my God, can you imagine a series that it's just like an old retired couple that travel with the Doctor?
It should be, you know, the ones from Orphan 55. Benny.
No, it should be the lesbian couple from Gridlock. Those two old women.
Yeah,
I'd actually be here for that.
Them.
With their cats. It would be great.
We need more like daft characters like that, or like Banner Catalata, you know, crap. Just
Banner Catalata. Cyborg.
Cyborg.
Interesting show.
We need more camp characters that can just like you know, Councilman.
Make Doctor camp again. That's
a Council X.
You're saying make Doctor Who camp again while we just had Jinx Monsoon try and swallow music.
Love Jinx Monsoon.
Like, to be fair, it's the campus we've got, but it was still very like, I don't know. Like, it's just, I don't know, there's something about old Doctor Who that's
we need a mummy Jackie Tyler, like, there's a strange man in my room.
Like camp not in character, but in like its bombast.
Yeah,
I just think they need a consistent tone, because that's what the first Russell era was. It was all that sort of camp tone, whereas now they go from really camp to not camp to really camp to not camp to a bit camp to bird people. It's like just sort of
separate category.
Stay in the line, please.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm cautiously optimistic for series 2. No, in fact, you know what, I'm going to say it. I think series 2 looks good. I do think it looks good. I'm a die on that hill. I think it looks good.
I think it looks really good.
I do as well.
This is the best a series of Doctor Who has looked in terms of trailer. The most I'm buggering this.
The one that's got you the most hype.
Yes, since series 10.
Yeah,
series 10 was properly like, oh my God, I can't wait, and I was not disappointed. Series 11, I was like, this is pretty cool. Series 12, I was like, it looks like an improvement. Series 13, I was like, ooh, I'm a bit scared. Season 1, I was like, okay, yeah, all right.
I think you're egging down how excited everyone was for series 1. Like I am ready to enjoy a series of Doctor Who. I'm not going to say it's bad because I really enjoyed a lot of series 1, but we were so hyped for it, and I remember coming out of the cinema with you after the finale, and the way I phrased that, I was a lot more annoyed then than I am now. The way I phrased it was, watching that series was like watching Mo Farah run a race for England. You know, everyone wants him to win. He's getting closer and closer to the finish line. It's looking good. He's not slowing down, but like a meter before the finish line, he stops running and takes a Like it was so disappointing because it was so exciting and it looked good, and Space Babies was a bit bizarre, but then the series got better and better with Boom and Rogue and Dot and Bubble, and then at the end it was crap. So I would love to love series 2.
Yeah, I also
I'm
love.
hyped for it because I do not want to watch him take a shit again.
I also love our group watching the it's Sue Tech.
Yeah.
I really.
Yeah. The thing is, like, that's the thing. It's like the moments of season 1 with that. I think one thing I will say is that, like, season 2 iconography wise looks great. Just like the robots, they look really cool. Very Sarah Jane Adventures ish.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Obviously the cartoon man looks great. Really curious as to what's going on in the well. No idea what that one is. I'm excited for that.
I think we do have an idea.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I don't want to get into it because they don't want spoilers. But yeah,
Good. We don't need spoilers. Let's keep it a spoiler-free zone.
Everything we've seen, like, it's weird because we know that they were filmed back to back, but they also feel like they've addressed some of the issues with season 1 without even really knowing what the issues we would take with season 1 were. Like the whole thing of like, right, okay, people were like, oh, the Doctor and Ruby, there's not enough going on there. All right, here's a companion who doesn't want to be there.
More shooty, I think.
Yes.
Obviously, he was tied with sex education last year.
I agree.
This year, he's all for us.
Apart from the Dr. Light episode that we're getting.
Yeah, but I also think I love a good Dr. Light episode. You come up with Doomsday, not Doomsday.
I love a good Dr. Light episode, and that a good Dr. Light episode was Blink. I don't like the rest of them.
What, Turn Left?
Yeah, Turn Left's amazing.
Yeah, actually.
He's in that one, isn't he? Yeah, fair enough.
And to be fair, I think the episode, the Dr. Light episode this time is actually going to work because it's obviously the Doctor and Belinda can't get home. That's the whole thing. It's following Ruby and Unit without the Doctor.
Yeah.
So it's similar-ish to Turn Left, I think. But I'm intrigued. I'm excited.
I want a companion light episode. That's what I want. I want an episode where the companion bug is off for a bit. Because, like, think about it though. Both times where that's happened, Midnight and Heaven Sent are both elite. That's all I'm going to say. That's a very good
point, actually.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say.
I feel like, is there room for Doctor or companion light episodes when we're only getting series?
No, but we need a 2-parter because I am sick of these 40-minute episodes. I need something that's going to have a big cliffhanger in the middle of the season.
I don't think we're getting that.
Going to be disappointed.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting that.
A girl can dream.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's what I was saying earlier with the episode count thing. Like, I do think you can do an arc well in 8 episodes, but the way that they do it is still very much structured as if they're making 12 to 13 episodes, and they're not. I think that's the problem. It's like, because I think, though, with season 2, Russell's hit the nail on the head, because an arc about getting Belinda home, it would get so old if it was 14 episodes. That's true.
Whereas if it's only 8 episodes, that's a believable amount of adventures that Belinda is stuck in. Because episode 1, she starts on Earth. Then you've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, then 7 and 8, it's about getting her home. Like, that is a perfect
Plus, I mean, even episode 4 is not really going to be with her.
Yeah.
So even then, it's like... Yeah, I agree with you. It's not going to feel too dragged out. I just hope that they focus more on that than they do on... Obviously, because I know we've got Mrs. Flood in the background as well. And I guess my one worry for this series is sort of similar to what we were talking about earlier with season 1 is if the arc and if the resolutions aren't what people want, could we be in for another series 1 scenario, which I really hope we won't be. But that's my main concern.
I think, well, that's the big... thing, unless anyone has any other final points. I've got a big final question rolling off the back of that.
I really just don't trust them with anything at the moment. Like, they'll do anything. They'll just literally do anything. I think they could be like, oh, Mrs. Flood is actually Nissa, and he could be Lord because of a fun thing that
not Nessa
regenerated into someone. Like, they would do.
Literally.
They said
Nessa.
or something.
Who's Nissa?
The fifth Doctor companion.
Oh, I don't care about
She's
her.
boring anyway. Sorry, Josh.
I'm not being funny, but when I heard Nissa, I just... Oh.
Anyway, Elise, before we rudely interrupted.
Yeah, no, I think they'll do anything. I think they'll literally just pull This is Mrs. Flood, aka Nissa and Tegan's baby, who's regenerated on their 6th time, and there's this really complicated backstory that we're going to tell you in 5 minutes and expect you to care about. And now she's dead. Oh God! Like they'll do any. They will do.
Can I say who I hope Mrs. Flood isn't? And I know this is going to be
yeah. My big final question.
Is that what it was? Okay, I didn't know that. All right, what's the final question?
Now, my surprise final question. If you had to pick one person that you want Mrs. Flood to be,
right,
and one person that if Mrs. Flood was, you would go, I'm never watching this show again, who are those two people?
So I would like Mrs. Flood to be a new character, first of all. I think it would be cool if she was a Time Lord. I don't think she will be a new character. I think she'll be some random one from like a season 22, like episode 9, and they'll go, oh, but she was such an important character in that episode, it's crazy. But I'd love her to be a new character. I'd like her to be a Time Lord or not human. I think that would be really fun. One character that if it was them, I wouldn't be watching the show again, would probably be Tectean.
No, I love Tectean.
I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that as a possibility, but it could be, couldn't it?
I think she's such a good character idea. The stakes of drama you can have there.
Literally nothing is off the table with Russell T Davies. We can expect the most.
I also think
you're out for blood.
You're very harsh.
I remember when Russell cares that much about Tectean.
I don't think it will be Tectean, because I think if he's going to pull a character back, it'll be from literally some random episode from the classic.
It's so harsh.
If it's Martha's stepmom and she goes, "Hi, Martha."
It's just Martha's mum. That's why she was at the premiere. It's like,
oh my God, maybe it's Neris.
Neris.
Imagine.
Long have I waited.
Neris because Donna won the money and gave it to charity. So Neris has grown old and has been like.
Oh, you know how like one of the episode titles is Wish World? Wish World actually revolves around Neris wishing she was the one that got the money. So like it's the complete like the opposite.
That's the story
There you go.
Oh.
Can I say who I want it to be and who I don't? All right, who I don't want it to be, because I feel more passionately about this than who I do, because I honestly don't mind too much. Who I don't want it to be is either the Master or the Rani, one of those two. Now, I know that the Rani one might be a bit controversial, because I know everyone's like, oh my God, she's the Rani. But I think that's like the most obvious... That's the most obvious thing they could do to me, especially because I can picture it now. You know how her name is Mrs. Flood? Ooh, what's in Flood? Ooh, Rain, Rani. Whoa! I can almost picture that. Like I can picture
it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
I just don't want it. I don't want it to be the Rani. I think it would just be so obvious. No. But also the Master for obvious reasons. Let it be someone else.
I will say though, on that, I remember when Series 8 came out, like me and this is. If any of you watching this video know who I'm referring to here, you will have been with this channel for over 10 years, which I really respect. But me and Joe Elsegear, Axeman of Evil, we had our little theory videos going on. And I remember being adamant, there is literally no one Missy can be other than the Master. But the whole fandom was like, it's too obvious. It's obviously someone. I think it comes down, it's like Occam's razor at this point. It's kind of got to be the Rani. Like I don't want it to be. I'll tell you who I do want it to be. Right?
Yeah, hang on. Can I say who I want?
Go.
Because like obviously I'm sort of on the same page as Elise. I want to be one of two things. I want to either be a new character, maybe Time Lord related, like what you were saying. My worry with that though is not so much that I wouldn't like it, but I can guarantee if it is a new character, the fan base will go, well, that was underwhelming. I wanted it to be this person from my DVD box set. And it wasn't. The other idea I had, and I genuinely, ever since I thought of this one, like I haven't been able to unsee it, I think it'd be really fun if she was Anita. I had this theory ages ago. She worked at the Time Hotel. She has the ability to like go through all these doors and stuff. Imagine if she feels abandoned by the Doctor and she's like,
and I've got another point for you. I watched Joy to the World the other day, right? Mm-hmm. And at the end, he leaves her that little TARDIS.
Yeah.
And she's like never seen a TARDIS before and all of
Yeah.
this. So if it is, it could very well be Anita.
I think that would be such a fun twist.
I'm so down for that. That would be so cool because they're setting it up and it's a character that we care about, but it's a character from this new era. Then that gives me an attachment to this new era.
Also, fun fact, the actress who plays Mrs. Flood is called Anita Dobson. So
here's what I think. The only way to make this work, she's partially a new character, but she's tied into the mythology and her reveal is a big reveal. Now, it would cause controversy, but it would get people talking. What if the reason Mrs. Flood can break the fourth wall, Mrs. Flood is from the Doctor's original universe? The time this child was shoved through the boundary, we don't know where the Doctor came from another timeline, another universe, whatever, Wish World. When the Doctor sprinkled the salt, it allowed wherever the Doctor originally came from to come through. That's why there's gods, that's why there's people like Mrs. Flood. I think she should be either a villain that the Doctor knew, kind of like, like Swarm and Azure from Flux. Someone the Doctor did know before they can actually remember. So she knows all the steps the Doctor's going to take before the Doctor even knows who she is. Or you play her up as this big, who's she going to be? She's a harbinger for some other power. And, there's only one guy it should be. But if she's the harbinger of, like, Omega or something along those lines, she isn't the big reveal because there's no way you can satisfyingly reveal who she is without some people complaining. But you think she's the big reveal. She tells you who she is. And in knowing who she is, you go, oh, my God, that means that this character or this thing is coming back. And agreeing with Tharis here, if she's the Master... Come on, man.
He won't be the Master. There's no way she's the Master. Like,
I agree.
That's why it's I'd stop watching because it would be so silly. It's like
if you would prefer her to be the Master, or if you would prefer her first name to be Harmony, and she's Harmony Flood because the only water that flows on her blood, and she's River Song.
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh, River.
No.
River.
I don't like either of them.
There's so many bad options.
If you had to choose.
Yeah.
Neither.
Neither, genuinely.
Right, Rosanna, who would you go with then?
For my worst option.
And best, both.
I don't really care. I think I do, like, as cheesy it sounds, I'm like, I do believe in Russell. I think he can do it. Like,
Peter Pan.
I think, you know what, even if it was Irani, I'd still enjoy that because I would be like, I know who that is. And some people wouldn't, I would still enjoy that. But I feel like there's so many bad options. Like, what if she's like Margaret the Slovene?
That would be great.
What if she was like something like, what if they were just like, it's Sarah Jane, or it's something.
If they recast Elizabeth Dent, that is a crop.
Like, what if they could just do something crap like that? And there's so many bad options. What if she was like John Barrowman?
You just made me think of one as well, because you know how like last series there was that whole like Susan build-up thing. If they make her Susan and it like turns out that she's Susan and they don't use Carol Ann Ford, I'm out. I'm gone.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, unique, because she's still alive.
If it happens, though, it would be so funny, because Carol Ann Ford said in an interview at the 60th, she was like, if they ever recast me, I'd lead a revolt into the studio.
I think, honestly, and I say this genuinely, if they bring back Susan and they recast Carol Ann Ford, I genuinely believe, for me personally, that's a step too far. I don't know what I would do.
Oh no!
I do think there's a line.
Farid?
I don't know.
I disagree. She needs to come back, but I'd be up for her regenerating.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. You've got to bring her back first.
She's still alive. Have her back. You know who's not alive? My favourite companion. So they should bring her back.
I think that's the thing, though. If you bring Susan back and like don't have Carol Ann Ford appear at all, I'm out. I'm done. I'm like, nah, you can't do that.
You'll bin all the stuff behind it.
I would. Probably. Maybe not.
Can I have the Sutek head?
No. We're not having an auction.
I have the Cyberman head because I've always.
No.
Actually, I've owned that Cyberman head longer than you. I have like squatters' rights over it.
Only because you illegally withheld it for your various productions.
And also, Artie, can I have your David Tennant?
No. It's mine. How dare you?
I just like him.
Anyway, Artie, we transition to you, Mrs. Flood. What you want? What you want? What you want?
What do you
I
want,
honestly
mate?
don't know.
Takeaway.
There's nothing they could do to make me stop watching the show. I would be disappointed if they recast Sarah Jane, but there's no way that she's Sarah Jane. Like that's just not even a possibility. But I'm here for whatever they decide to do next. If it's a classic Who character, I don't care as long as they don't make me watch it on an iPad. Like, just surprise me, make me enjoy the character for the sake of this series, not for the sake of like whatever used to be. Like, that's what the revival consistently did so well with with the Autons, with the Master, with the Daleks, the Cybermen. I enjoyed all of those. The Zygons. I didn't see a Zygon episode until I went back. The Sontarans, all of them that came back, they made me enjoy them for the sake of their new stuff. So I don't care if they want to appease people like Tharies or you, Joe.
I'm nothing like Tharies.
I don't care.
Of our pictures, they're completely.
I literally said I wanted it to be a new character.
Well, I don't really believe you, because then when you did your voice, when you were like, "Oh, I want someone from my box set," I was convinced that was your true inner demons coming out. But I don't care if they make the episode for you. I just want them to make it for me as well. Like, I want everyone to enjoy it.
They gave me my villain last series, Artie, and look how
it went.
I know.
This is why you should keep your box sets closed.
Yeah.
About the Rani as well, because I do think, maybe people will be disappointed if it's someone that's so. Why is everyone giggling?
Just Rosanna.
Rosanna was just...
Yeah, we're doing like a book showing.
I do think if it's maybe someone disappointed, but at the end of the day, if the people on Twitter that have been like searching their whole lives for it are disappointed that they've spoiled it for themselves, well, that's one thing for starters. But then I do think I'd much rather it be someone that's a little bit too predictable than something completely out of left field, because if it isn't predictable, that means that they've laid the groundwork that means I can follow and enjoy and get to the end of this series and go, that was nice, it led up to it.
Imagine it's Georgia Tennant.
That's what I was thinking. Imagine it's Jenny.
I am so here for a Jenny comeback, because everyone who likes David Tennant, sorry, Elise, you were talking, but carry on.
Go on, I'll come back to me, it's fine.
Well, everyone who likes David Tennant probably likes Georgia Tennant, because she handles all his Instagram stuff. She's more of a public face of David Tennant than he is himself.
Yeah,
so why not fuel our nostalgia by bringing her back as Jenny? Like, I'm so here for it. I've wanted it ever since.
Do you not know what happened to her?
I don't give a I don't give a hoot what happened to her in your Big Finish audio drama.
No, Russell has made it abundantly clear that the ship she left in crashed immediately into the sun and she's never coming back. He's made that very clear.
He didn't put it in the show though, so it doesn't count.
Big Finish doesn't.
The only reason he says that is because David Tennant is the Doctor and they're now married. Like, you know,
she was supposed to be in Stolen Earth and Journey's End.
Well, she should have been. I was so annoyed when I first watched it. I remember being so annoyed. She should be there. I love Jenny. I think she's such a good character.
I love Jenny. I love when she does the backflip. As a kid, I was like,
And I was when I was first watching it, series 1, I did think there was something to do with the fourth wall break that is going to come back properly, because obviously we've got Mrs. Flood that's repeatedly breaking the fourth wall. I thought that was non-diegetic, which I loved, but I also thought, how does the Doctor understand that? How does he know that? How can that work? Oh, there's something fourth wall-y there, and particularly with the animation as well, like the fact that they can change like that. It's either going to be some kind of flatline monster, but I'm hoping that Russell is going to, if he pulls off some kind of epic fourth wall storyline thing, he's got me back. Russell Stan for life. Like, I'll never criticize a single thing that he ever again.
It would be so good if, like, you found out that somehow the last series was all done on a set and, like, twisted reality. Sutek's not canon. Like,
Isn't that what Joe did? Yeah.
That's showrunner Adipose. That was the finale. The Doctor's running down a corridor, and then it's like, just coming back to that video. I literally said my episode 2 starts with a sequence where the song, and I literally say this in the video from 2021, I was like, the song Let's Twist Again, like we did last summer, is playing as they run through Carnage. And it's like, Russell heard that and was like, there's always a twist. Russell's seen this TV show idea. But also, on the TV show idea, this is literally just what people did with Sherlock Series 5, where they were like, well, that's so intelligent.
Yeah,
He's
no,
made
what
it
was
bad
it?
on purpose.
What was the, like, Apple TV show? Like, there was a TV show that was called, like, Apples or something, and, like, it was so random. And, like, no, genuinely, I can't remember what it was called. It was something to do with apples, but it was, like, there were so many sort of things in it that sort of, like...
You got senile.
No, I'm being serious. This is a real thing.
There was with Apple TV, Grandad.
No, I'm not. Let me finish. Let me finish. There was some random TV show, and it was called Apples. I don't know what it was called. But episode 1 got like thousands of viewers because they. Well, I don't know how many. Got tens of thousands of viewers because people were convinced it was a secret episode 4 to 5. Shut up!
Right, I think
someone else talk.
We've got to
join us next week.
We've got to go get.
Hear about Apple.
I don't care.
We've got to go get Artie's medication.
Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy, please get better taste. I don't think there's any point in trying, but if you want to watch these episodes early, go over to the Patreon. We have been Elizabeth Den, Thomas Harries, Artie, Drills, and myself. We will see you next week.
This is not lasting the full 8 weeks. I'm gonna just. This is not.
Cinema.
Don't forget to click below and subscribe to the official Confused Adipose YouTube channel.
I will destroy you. She's not seen a single episode.
I've watched your episodes.
Keep these sonic screwdrivers.
What else am I saying about the film? Don't watch this one.